Hi everyone and Merry Christmas. This is Joy. Welcome back to my channel. Today is day 5 of my 12 Days of Christmas video card series, and I have made 3 very different cards using some really fun word dies. So let's get started. Now I'm starting with a piece of white glitter cardstock in an embossing folder. This is from Fun Stamper's Journey, Cozy Knit embossing folder. And I love that it gives that sweater cozy feel, and I think that's going to be great for this snowflake card. Now I also have a word die that says Joy from Simon Says Stamp. It's the Big Joy die. And I also am using the DAPHNE Snowflake from Simon Says Stamp. The colors that I'm using for the word Joy is Mars Green, and it's really kind of this really pretty teal color. And then I'm using Azalea for the snowflake. Now the word Joy I am cutting out 3 times because I'm going to stack that on top of each other to give it some dimension. You could use foam tape or white fun foam or anything like that, but I'm just using multiple pieces of cardstock. So I'm going to line my word up onto my back panel because I want to die cut my snowflake onto the back panel. I'm doing this because we will be adding some foam tape behind it, and it'll be raised off of the card base, and the pink snowflake will be inset or inlaid into it, and it will have some dimension, if that makes sense. The snowflake will be recessed. So I've die cut that out, and this cardstock, this glitter cardstock, is really on the thinner side, and it felt really soft and almost a little too flimsy for what I need to do. So I'm going to adhere this to some white cardstock. I'm just going to glue that down. And then I'm going to trim around it and use that as my whole front card panel, because I'm also going to need to die cut the snowflake one more time. And I actually end up running that through my Gemini Junior, which I just got for my birthday, and this was the first time I used it, and let me just tell you, it was fantastic. Anyways, so I'm going to trim this down to get it back to the smaller panel that I needed, which is about 1/8 of an inch smaller on all sides. So I'm just going to lay my snowflake in there and tape that down and run that through my machine. Now, what happened is when I ran it through my machine, it really flattened all of the embossing folder's work. So I'm going to have to run that through my embossing folder one more time. So I would say next time I would do the die cutting, then the embossing folder after. So I have a little bit of glue from my tape from my running through the die cut machine. So I just was using my eraser to get that off, lining that back up in my Cozy Knit embossing folder and running that through. Now here I'm adding the foam tape behind this front panel because again, we want some dimension. And you can see there, one of my little pieces of my snowflake arm broke off. So I just used some foam tape behind it and adhered that back. Now I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue behind my pink snowflake, and this was Azalea from Cardstock Warehouse. The color of the cardstock, super pretty. I'm just using my Spellbinders tool-in-one to just tuck that in and getting it nice and adhered down into the back. And now we've got some dimension, and that snowflake is recessed, and I think it turned out so super pretty. There's another little arm that kind of broke off, and I just needed to adhere that down. So now I'm gluing together all of 3 layers of my letter Y and my letter J. Again, this gives dimension. You also could use foam tape or white fun foam. A little bit of liquid glue, and I'm using liquid glue on this because this is glitter paper and I want to make sure that it sticks really well and my letters don't come off. But I love how this turned out with those 2 kind of non-traditional Christmas colors, but to me it still feels very Christmassy. Now this is Honeybee Stamp's Holiday Cheer sequence, and I'm just adding some snowflakes and a little bit of like the turquoise sequence to it. And then we're going to add a sentiment, and I wanted this whole card to say Joy to the World. So I'm using Simon Says Stamp Tiny Words Christmas. I'm going to stamp that on the Mars Green cardstock and do some white heat embossing with that. Oh, really quick, I am adding a little bit of a teal sequence right to the middle of that snowflake, and I totally loved how that looked. So doing some white heat embossing, I did prep my cardstock with an anti-static tool, and I'm using Versamark ink, stamping the Joy to the World, and I will actually end up cutting off the word Joy, again, because we already have it. And then I'm going to place that at below the letter Y with some foam tape so that can have some dimension as well. So here's the foam tape, a little piece of that. And then this card is finished, and I just love having the embossing folder gives it such texture, even though it still is a white background. And then you have a little bit of that glitter and a little bit of that shimmer on that snowflake. I just love how this card turned out. All right, on to my next one. I am using the Stamp Market's Fa La La die. I actually started here by lining it up in the center because I was going to do something different. Completely changed my idea, but I did cut that out 3 times. Again, same thing, so I can have some dimension. I will glue all 3 pieces together for some dimension. So once I'm done doing that, I'm also going to be using Lawn Fawn's Let It Shine 6x6 paper pad. I'm using the red striped, the green striped, and the blue striped paper. I did make sure all of the stripes were going in the same direction when I was die cutting the Fa La La. So here is the blue, and I'm going to have one color for each line of text, if that makes sense. And so I'm just going to line that up, and then here I'm going to cut out the green, again making sure that all of the stripes are going in the same direction so it doesn't look funky or wonky on my word die. Now I'm going to trim off the parts of the word die that I don't need so I can fit it into the Fa La La. And so starting at the top, I'm going to have the red, then the green, and then the blue at the bottom. I really think this turned out super, super cute with these different colors. Now I'm going to take that green one and line it up so I know exactly where I need to trim around the top red striped word so that way it fits together nice and tight. So now I have die cut some cute little string of lights. This is from Lawn Fawn. It's their mini string of lights die. I die cut that from some Onyx cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. It's kind of a shimmery black. And then I just die cut the white bulbs, and I'm going to color those with some Copic markers. And so I cut 4 pieces of this, and I'm just going to glue all of the little light bulbs on and color all of them pretty much the same colors. I tried to match my Copics to the striped paper that I used. So this is R05, R29 for the red. Then I'm going to use G43 and G14 for the green, and then BG11 and BG13 for that tealish blue color. And I think it turned out really fantastic. So I did 4 strands of lights. I'm not worrying about doing the 2 ends of bulbs because that's going to be getting cut off anyways. So now that that's done, I've got this white A2 size piece. Actually, I do end up trimming it down after I glue all these lights on, and I trim it down about 1/8 of an inch on all sides. But aren't those just darling? I love how it turned out, and we put the Fa La La word die on top. It is so cute. So now that that's trimmed down, I am going to glue a black matte offset behind the Fa La La because it did not stand out when I originally was going to place it on this card panel. But this little pop of black behind it totally made a huge, huge difference. And isn't that so cute? Now I'm coming in with some diamond stickles to add some glitter to the light bulbs, and this is also going to act as glue for my Fa La La word die on the front. So all of those are nice and colored in, so they're nice and shiny and look like lit up light bulbs. And now I'm going to place that word die right in the center and just gently placing it, pushing it down, not trying to squeeze out too much. And I didn't put a ton of my diamond stickles on there, so it's not squeezing out anywhere weird, but it does hold it as glue. So now I have this matted onto a black piece of cardstock and then onto a white card base. I have the Making Spirits Bright Sentiment, and that's from Tailored Expressions. They're Simple Strips Christmas, and it comes with a coordinating die. But isn't this so darling? I love the bold, fun colors of this. This totally feels like Christmas to me. Okay, on to our last and final card. I am using Fun Stamper's Journey Bright Days embossing folder with the Mars Red cardstock. And I'm going to use the word die Oh Holy Night, which I think is so precious and sweet. And I die cut, that is from Simon Says Stamp, and it has the shadow in the back and then the writing. So I die cut the shadow from Gold Mirror cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. And then the words are from the white diamond glitter cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. And I'm just going to glue that down. And I'm doing this first before I die cut the shape into my card panel, because I couldn't really tell what way was straight or not with this Oh Holy Night just by the shadow. So we're going to kind of do the same thing we did on the first card with having the word recessed, just like we had the snowflake recessed. So I'm lining this up once that's glued together, and I can make sure all the sentiments are straight. And I'm coming in with the shadow die, lining that up, and I'm just going to tape that down, and then I will remove the die cut already and then run that through my die cut machine. And then when I pull it out, then we're going to have this nice opening that we can adhere this Oh Holy Night sentiment recessed in behind this front card panel. So that is all taken out. I put some foam tape behind it, just like in the first card, to pop it up. Now I'm just going to insert my sentiment piece, and I did make sure to keep all of those red pieces from my original die cut, because now we have to inlay those in so there's no funny white spots. So I'm taking all those little red pieces from the die cut, adding a little bit of liquid glue, and just placing those in, really doing an inlay style, and then it just, you have this nice dimension and it looks beautiful. So on that same Mars red cardstock, I am stamping A Savior is Born, and this is from the Tiny Words Christmas from Simon Says Stamp, using some white embossing powder to heat that up. And I just buffed off the powder tool, trimmed that down, and I'm going to add some foam tape behind it. Then I'm going to come in with Studio Katya's Gold Fever Confetti, and this is kind of iridescent, and I love how it looks. It's so, so pretty. Once those are all glued, we are finally done with this third card. And look at how pretty that looks with that dimension from the embossing folder. All three of these cards show how fun it is to use a fun word die. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed these projects. I hope that you feel inspired. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, comment, share, thumbs up. I do have some affiliate links below, but it costs you nothing. So thank you, and I will see you guys soon for day 6. Bye.